All right. Hello, everyone. I hope that you are doing well. So, right now, I would like to explain or discuss something that is related to philosophy, which is the topic is metaphysics. Okay. So, since this is just an introduction, so this presentation or this discussion will not be very, I would say, very deep, very long. So, this is only a brief explanation about metaphysics, which is the philosophical investigation of reality. All right. So, now, the question is that we should ask, what is metaphysics? Okay, what is metaphysics? So, if we want to try to go back to the ancient Greece philosopher, which is Aristotle, he said that philosophy is actually the first principle of philosophy. And the subdivisions of metaphysics is also called ontology. Okay, ontology, which is the study of being, is also considered to be categorized as a metaphysics in the metaphysics area. So, first, you might be confused in those two terminologies, metaphysics and ontology. So ontology is the subdivisions, or you can say that ontology is the subtopics of metaphysics. So when people talk about ontology, that means he or she is also talking about metaphysics. So please do not confuse by those terminology. So okay, let's look at the word itself, or the etymology of metaphysics. Metaphysics consists of two words, meta and physis. It comes from the Greek. Meta is it means Meta means after or beyond, where physis means nature or physics. So when we combine those two words, meta and physis, it means that metaphysics is talking about beyond the physics. Okay, so I am assuming that you already know that what is physics. Okay, physics is something that we can see, something we can smell, taste, or hear, whereas beyond physics or after physics is something that we cannot see, something that we cannot smell, or something that we cannot hear physically. All right, so that is why the word is metaphysics, after physics. So can you name something that is metaphysics or after physics? Well, there are a lot of things uh, that is that can be considered as a metaphysics. For example, something that is beyond physics, something that we cannot see, we cannot hear, smell, or taste. What is it? For example, religion. If we talk about religion, specifically, if we talk about God, for example, we cannot see God, we cannot touch God by our hand physically, right? So if we are discussing about God, that means that we are discussing in the area of metaphysics. All right. Okay, what else? Justice, for example. The word itself, justice, is considered to be abstract, right? You cannot see the justice within the word itself. You cannot see or hear or smell about justice itself because it's a concept, it's an abstract concept of of um, of what we are talking about in general life, right? So justice is also metaphysics. Love, for example, love is also metaphysics because we cannot hear it, we cannot see it, we cannot smell it, we cannot touch it. Love is something that is also abstract. However, like justice, love is uh, we can see the manifestation of justice, the manifestation of love uh, through the action of human being. Like when like a bunch of people, when we see a bunch of people working together, they helping each other, and we can sense the value of love within among themselves, right? But we cannot see it. We can see the action of love, but we cannot see the love itself. That is why love and justice, religion, in this case, religion is God. The existence of God is considered to be a metaphysics. So metaphysics, descriptively, is the study of the essence of reality. Okay, the essence of reality. So when we are talking about metaphysics, when we are discussing about metaphysics, that means we are trying to understand and try to reveal what is actually the essence of reality, what is the ultimate of reality, what is the foundation or the fundamental aspect in life that we must understand, that we must know about it. So uh, that leads to the questions, the fundamental questions in metaphysics. One of them is, what is reality? So when you want to understand about reality, when you want to understand about life, uh, somewhat we are entering the world of metaphysics, and by entering the world of metaphysics, we supposed to ask the kind of questions that is fundamental. And the one of the example is, what is reality, and what is or does not exist, and why exist. So these three questions, not to mention that there are a lot of questions, fundamental questions in terms of metaphysical point of view. However, in this presentation, I just want you to know a few questions which I showed to you three questions, three important questions in metaphysics, which which is which has the purpose to reveal what is the essence of reality. By asking these questions, you want to know what is the ultimate reality, what is the ultimate life, what is the bottom line, what is the fundamental issues that we want to discuss, that we want to know, uh, in order for us to know the essence of reality. What is reality, and what is or doesn't exist, why exists. And by these questions, we can come up with the argumentation. For those of us, or for those of you who are believe in God, who are religious, then uh, you can ask yourself the questions of, why did God created a human being, and why did God created universe, and why it has to be exist according to God existence. So these are the questions that is fundamental for the metaphysics. So you can probably notice that if we talk about physics, it's totally different than we if we talk about metaphysics, right? If you talk about metaphysics, then you are talking about something that is not um, physically appearance, something that is beyond physics. And the questions that uh, you can ask in order for us to go more deeper is by these three questions. All right, so next I will mention some of the perspectives of metaphysics. There are a lot of perspective indeed in metaphysics. However, because this is only the introduction of metaphysics, so I only mention some of the perspectives. And maybe if we have a time, if the time does not consuming to our attention, I would like to just a little bit explain more deep, not too deep, about the one of the perspective of metaphysics. So one is called monism. Monism is the paradigm of paradigm of human being, which uh, which explain that the reality is consist only one kind of substance. So we have, for example, we have materialism. This is the example of monism. One kind of substance is materialism. All right. Uh, Again, this is only some of the example of perspective on metaphysics. So materialism is everything or reality is made of matter. So it's totally different than when you talk about materialism as um, an issue in the terms of money. All right. So this is totally different thing. Materialism here is the belief, is the thinking process that believe everything is made of matter, that conclude the essence of reality is made of matter. So if you want to look at the one of the example from the Greek philosopher, um, back then, like 1,000 years ago, one of the most influenced philosopher called Thales, yeah, from the Greek. He come up with this philosophy of metaphysics, and he thought about what is the essence of reality, and he come up with the answer. The answer is materialism. Specifically, the essence of reality is water. Okay, water that you can drink. Okay, water, the liquid water. So he thinks that everything in this reality, including human being, creatures, everything that human beings created, the universe itself, there must be consist of water. All right, and the fact is that human being is also consist of water. We need water if we want to live in this world, right? We need to drink, we need to consume water. What happen if we lost large amount of water? Then we will die. Okay, so this kind of philosopher thinks that water, the matter of water, is the essence of reality. So vice versa, the opposite of that, there are quite a few philosophers until the modern era, um, thinks that and believes that the essence of reality is idealism. So idealism is made of mind. So you have to. So the most important thing in this life is not a matter, not a physical matter, but is the most important thing in this world is about the mind, the process of thinking itself. So only by looking at these two examples of monism, or example of form of metaphysics, we can actually come up with the questions which bring to a study case, okay, which bring to the problem of life. So what is the impact when someone has the idea of or the perspective of materialistic, and what is the impact when someone has the paradigm or the perspective of idealistic mindset. Now, this is something that we can't actually explore in the class or in group of people, or you want to think about it by yourself. That's even better. Okay. And unlike monism, which believes that which look at reality by only one kind of substance that is more important, dualism is looking at reality which consists only two kind of substance. And uh, now, unlike dualism and monism, pluralism look at things, look at reality, look at life, which must consist of many kinds of substance. So not only materialism, which must be consist, which must be the element, the most important elements to make the universe, to make the reality, but also many kind. Materialism, you need materialism, you need idealism, you need everything. All right, you need identity, you need rationalism, you need empiricism, and all those ism uh, that we can find. Okay, so these are some of the perspective of metaphysics, and we also have another perspective, or let's say we call it entities. It's called universalism. So I want to show you that uh, in the discussion of metaphysics, we also talk about universalism. Okay, universalism is the one that stands over the many. Um, let's not be confused by the definition. Let's look at the example here. So, if you look at this picture, the first picture is obviously as there are six people who are Muslim, and the question is, what are the common uh, what something that they can share in common, so that make universal. All right, so that makes universal. Well, we can see that they are Muslim, so that is something that they can share in common, right? Muslimness. Okay, so being a Muslim is something that they can share in common within those six people, right? But the question is it enough to say that Muslim, which can be shared in common, uh, is considered to be universalism? It's considered to be universal. All right. So if you talk about religion, then in this world we have a lot of religions. So if we have a lot of different religions, that means that we cannot share something in common uh, or throughout the world, right? Because everybody has different beliefs, everybody has different religions. So religions are, in this case, the identity of religion, or maybe we can say the identity of race, the identity of ideological political party, the identity of what else? Language is actually cannot be considered to be universal. Because why? Because those are, uh, in particular, those are different to one another. So we cannot share something in common because those are different to one another. So Um, furthermore, if you look at reality, there are not only human beings who exist in this world, right? Uh, we have animals, that lives who lives in this world among us. We also produce, or we also created things that we produce. So all these entities uh, are exist in this world, right? So the question is, what can be shared in the same common for all of us, for a human being, for creatures, for animals, for things, for mountains, for trees, for sea or ocean, everything in this life, in this universe. What we are uh, s- share the same common in this universe? Well, the answer is only one. Well, we are universe. We all actually the same. We all are one entities. If you want to look at the broader perspective, we cannot just think about the identity of religion nor the identity of races. We cannot just think of the different creature, like I am human being and uh, the other one is animal, which is totally different than human being. So that makes us superior, and we can invade, we can do something, we can exploit, we can make exploitation to the nature and so on and so forth. So if we try to make our mindset universal, then we have to look the reality, the life, as one big entity, which is the universe. So this kind of paradigm, this kind of point of view, which brings the consequences that we want to live in this universe happy and um, make the priority of peace, okay, upon the peace and love and tolerance and so on and so forth. Okay, so one the other perspective of metaphysics that we are discussing is about identity, about change, like the question, if human being change, growing old, for example, is the identity also change? And what is actually change? What is identity? Is can identity also be changed along as we grow old or as we grow older, right? So these are the questions that might be answered in the field or the area of metaphysics. So and also in a metaphysics perspective, we also talk about time and space, like uh, can time be objective or is it more subjective? Can human conquer time, or can time conquer human? And what is time? What about space? Right? So we know that time or clock is an object that we can look at it. What time is it? Is it noon? Is it in the morning? Is it 3 o'clock in the afternoon? Is it 8 o'clock in the morning? Is it 12 o'clock at noon? It's time to get a lunch or something like that. So that time is an object. So time can be objective, but time can be subjective as well, because sometimes in a moment of when we try to meet our loved one in somewhere, for example, we are waiting for our loved one in a cafe, for example, we feel that the time is stopped, right? Because maybe because of our nervous because we feel nervous, we feel afraid, we feel um, afraid, nervous, or we feel anxiety within ourselves, and that brings the time. It feels that the time is very, very long. But if we want to measure the time objectively, it's not actually very long. So, in the term of metaphysics, time can be long, right? Time can be long. All right, so these are the perspective of metaphysics. And also in metaphysics, they talk about determinism versus free will. So determinism is every event is preceded by a cause. So human beings have no free will and cannot be held morally responsible for their actions because it determined by causes internal and external. And so, for example, like if we have here event C is, let's say this is a technology, it's a cell phone. The existence of cell phone cannot be exist uh, not only because there is a creator, right? Event B, he created a cell phone, for example. So the existence of cell phone cannot be exist without the event B, cannot without the creator, right? So the creator cannot be exist, cannot do something, cannot live his life without being born in this world. And being born in this world is because of his parents meet each other, they love, they are they love one another and they get married, they have a babies, and the babies grow older and become a person who can create a technology. So these are the so-called the chain of causation. So everything in this world, in metaphysics, in one perspective, in determinism perspective, everything in this world in general, uh, up up to in particular, up to in general, is deterministic. Okay, so everything what we do, what we say, what we think, what we create, everything, not only human being but also animal, everything what they do, what they say, what they speak, uh, is always deterministic by the cause event previously. All right. So let me just skip this another example. But the point, what I want to say is that because of this perspective of deterministic, then the question is that human being, then human being cannot have a free will then. All right. So if everything is decided by the cause event, then human being doesn't have any free will to decide or to choose whatever they want to do or whatever they want to choose. So the point of view of free will is that the idea that we can play an action role and have choice in how we behave. The assumption in that individuals are free to choose their own behavior and they are determined. So this is the the opposite perspective on deterministic. If deterministic is something that is very strict on the cause event, so human being doesn't have a free will, doesn't have a freedom to choose whatever they want to choose in their life, to do whatever they want to do in their life because of the previous event that make you decide or that make you do things whatever you want to do or whatever you want to choose. While free will is that the belief that the idea that human being still have the freedom to decide whether he or she want to drink coffee, for example, or he or she want to drink a cup of tea, for example. The point of view of free will is that he or she have this time and space to decide whether he or she want to drink a coffee or a cup of tea. While deterministic point of view thinks that you don't decide whether you want to choose coffee or a cup of tea. The one who decide for you is the cause previously. For example, If I, when I got bored, for example, oh, I got bored, I don't have nothing to do. Oh, I want to drink coffee. No, now the action of drinking coffee is not because of my decision to drink or my will to drink coffee, but is deterministic by the cause of boredness which I had experienced in the previous event. So these two are logically make sense, and that is why until today the problem of deterministic and free will is very interesting to talk about in the metaphysics field. Okay, so here I want to show you that in a modern era today, there is a person whose name is Sam Harris. Sam Harris is a intellectual thinking popular author of books, and he's also a scientist. We can say that neuroscientist. This is more specifically because there is a science, and there is also right now in the modern era is called neuroscience. So Sam Harris is can be considered as a neuroscience. He said that how can we be free as conscious agents if everything that we consciously intend is caused by events in our brain that we do not intend and of which we are entirely unaware? And the answer is we cannot be free. So the free is only an illusion, according to Sam Harris, because in the neuroscience world, they had these experiments where they look at this human brain, neuro human brain inside our brain before we decided to before we decide to do something. For example, before I decide to make a coffee or make a cup of tea, the cells of the neuro cells inside our brain is already making the decision for you without realizing it, without you realizing it. So unconsciously, all right, unconsciously, the cells inside your brain has already make a decision that you must choose. And what I choose is that I want to drink a coffee, for example. So there is no such as a free will then, if we want to look at by this perspective of neuroscience. All right, so last but not least, this is something that we can discuss in the class if we have a time, yeah, or this is something that we can discuss outside the class if you want, if you are curious about these uh, questions about these problems, then you can come up to me in my room. We can discuss. I would be more happy to discuss such things, right? So the first one is what is the impact of determinism paradigm in social life, specifically in moral issues. So if you think that everything is happened by the cause of events, then what happened for those of you who want to make a commit who want to commit crime? What happened for those people who committed crime? What happens for those of the people who do something bad? Do you think that they have a free will to decide they want to do good or bad things, or they determined by the cause even previously, right? And that brings the consequences. If we look at this point of view of deterministic, then we cannot punish someone who commit crime because they don't decide they want to make a crime or not. The previous event decided him or her or the people who committed crime. So this is going to be a problem in a norm in a moral social life. And the second one is, does human being really have no free will at all? Is free will just an illusion at all? So this is something that we can discuss later in the future. Okay, so having said that, I have to skip that perspective because that is the answer actually. Okay, to those questions, the two questions that I just said earlier. So beside determinism and free will, there is also in the metaphysics paradigm, or in the metaphysic field, we can also talk about consciousness. This is the branch of philosophy. It's called philosophy of mind. So it talks about consciousness. What is conscious? How do you define conscious? How do you measure that this human is unconscious, this human is conscious? As where we know that there is a subconscious. Is subconscious is not conscious? So somewhat this area of philosophy will touch the area of um, psychology. Okay, and also we talk about justice, as I said earlier in the beginning, love also, yeah. So and religion, of course, and religion. So in a metaphysics discourse, in a metaphysics discussion, um, here I show you one of the provoking thought of the ancient Greek philosopher. Yeah, and this is the area of metaphysics. So he began to ask some questions. He began to questioning God by asking, "Is God willing to prevent evil but not able? Then he is not important. Then he is not. I'm sorry. Then he is not omnipotent. Okay. Is he able but not willing? Then he is malevolent. Is he both able and willing? Then whence cometh evil?" All right. Is he neither able nor willing? Then why call him God? So I'm sorry. Excuse me. So these are provoking questions in metaphysics world that is always interesting to discuss. So everyone, those are some of the example of metaphysics topics that we can discuss, and it really useful for us to try to explore those kind of area of a perspective of a paradigm, because the more we try to look at things deeper, as where metaphysics propose, the more we look higher, or the more we look wider, the more we can see things in life more clear. All right. So just like as what Albert Einstein said that the more I learn of physics, the more I am drawn to metaphysics. So that is why philosophy is the mother of science, because when you try to look at things that is in the surface, which is the physics, when you look down into deep, when you try to deep into the the world of physics, then you can find that you are in the area of metaphysics. Okay, I think that is just about the explanation about metaphysics briefly. And once again, if you want to have questions or if you want to discuss something that we have been that I have just showed it to you, or in any other topics that you want to show that you want to discuss with me in terms of metaphysics, then feel free to contact me. Feel free to come to me, and we can discuss about it. All right, I'll see you uh, next time in the different topics of philosophy.